Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. Before starting the video, please go ahead and hit the subscribe button and give this video a like up. WWE SummerSlam is right around the corner. The massive premium live event will be the first ever two-night edition of the biggest party of the summer. Triple H is already looking to book a strong card. With that being said, one booking decision the game and the creative team made on WWE Raw in the build-up to SummerSlam could have an unfortunate consequence. Triple H's booking mistake could cause Bayley to ultimately leave the company. The role model went one-on-one with Lyra Valkyria on Monday Night Raw. The winner of the bout would go on to SummerSlam to challenge Becky Lynch for the Women's Intercontinental Championship. In the end, Lyra defeated Bayley in a 2 out of 3 falls match to stand tall. This was great for Lyra, but bad for Bayley. Now there is a very real chance that Bayley will miss the SummerSlam PLE. Given Bayley's status as a former WWE Women's Champion, this is definitely far from ideal. Additionally, the show being 2 nights should mean that there is a role for her. Yet, despite that, there is no obvious spot for Bayley now. There is a very real chance that the former champion will be left off the card. If she is, it could be enough to have Bayley leave the company once she's contractually allowed to do so. This isn't just because of one incident, however. If Bayley just missed SummerSlam, it likely wouldn't be the end of the world. Sometimes talent will miss a show. In the case of Bayley, however, there have been issues that could lead to missing SummerSlam being the final straw. The role model has long expressed her frustration with not always being used in marketing. She routinely posted advertisements on social media that didn't feature her for shows she was on and mocked them. While she always acts playful, there is likely real resentment there. As a result, Bayley then being removed from WWE WrestleMania 41 earlier this year was a massive blow. Not only was the role model frustrated with marketing, but she was seemingly quite upset with being kept off of the biggest show of the year. Upon later returning to WWE television, Bayley, in character, spoke about how much of a blow it was to miss WrestleMania. Despite being a promo, there were likely real frustrations used for the sake of the segment. Now, if she is also missing SummerSlam, those frustrations might boil over, and her time in the sports entertainment juggernaut may be coming to an end. Ken is an American writer and host who started with Sportskeeda in May of 2022. He has several years of writing experience on other platforms prior to joining Sportskeeda, where he covered pro wrestling news. On Sportskeeda, Ken does a variety of projects, but is primarily tasked with listicles, trends and features, and live coverage of WWE events. He has interviewed pro wrestling personalities on his Armbars and Sidebars project. He's spoken to both wrestlers and personalities who have been seen in World Wrestling Entertainment, Ring of Honor, TNA Wrestling, and beyond. Ken has been a fan of professional wrestling for as far back as he can remember, long before covering the industry became his profession. Triple H has largely been praised for his handling of WWE's creative direction since taking over the reins from Vince McMahon. Under his leadership, the company has seen a revitalization of in-ring storytelling, long-term booking, and a better balance between main eventers and rising stars. Yet, even the best bookers are not immune to mistakes. In a volatile business like professional wrestling, one bad decision can send shockwaves through a roster, and possibly push a top star out the door. So, what if a major booking blunder by Triple H leads to a former world champion deciding to walk away from WWE? What would that look like? Could it actually happen? Let's analyze this scenario creatively but realistically. Let's consider Drew McIntyre as the hypothetical former world champion in this situation. He's a 2-time WWE champion, the face of the pandemic era, and someone who carried the company on his back when there were no fans in the stands. Despite his contributions, McIntyre has often found himself on the periphery of the main event scene since fans returned to arenas. He's had solid feuds, but none have elevated him back to true top-tier status. He came close at Clash at the Castle in 2022, but lost to Roman Reigns in front of a red-hot UK crowd, a decision many questioned. Since then, he's floated around the upper mid-card, teasing heel turns, but never truly recapturing the momentum of his championship days. Now imagine this. A Triple H booking decision that finally breaks Drew's trust in WWE's creative direction. Picture WrestleMania 41. Drew McIntyre is in the world title picture again, this time against a newly crowned babyface champion, let's say Gunther. The story has been brewing for months. Drew turns full heel, unleashes brutal promos, and presents himself as the bitter veteran who's sick of being overlooked. Fans are split, but the buzz is real. He's delivering some of the best promos of his career, and his matches are once again must-watch. The WrestleMania match is a hard-hitting, emotional war. Everything seems to be building toward Drew's redemption, or shocking triumph. But then, the finish happens. Gunther retains clean after a surprise roll-up. Not a dramatic finisher. Not a controversial referee call. Just a sudden, abrupt ending that leaves the crowd deflated and Drew looking foolish. Post-match, Drew is sent into a comedic backstage segment with R-Truth the following night on Raw, completely killing the aura he spent months rebuilding. This is the mistake, an underwhelming WrestleMania loss, followed by a tonal shift that rebrands him from a serious threat to comedic relief. According to sources close to the locker room, in our creative scenario, Drew is furious. This wasn't the story he signed up for. He agreed to do the job if it led to a deeper character arc, something that would keep him involved in top-tier storylines. But instead, the loss becomes the beginning of his descent into irrelevance. He meets with Triple H privately and voices his concerns, but he gets corporate speak in return. It's all part of a longer story. Just trust the process, and there are big plans ahead. His contract is coming up, and suddenly, he's not resigning. Not yet, anyway. Rumors swirl. AEW's Tony Khan is reportedly interested. NJPW might offer him a high-profile spot, and Impact, now rebranded as TNA again, would love to bring back one of their former champions. The buzz is everywhere. Wrestling Observer discusses the lost potential of his heel run. Even some wrestlers chime in. Sheamus posts a cryptic message. When warriors get treated like jesters, they take their swords elsewhere. Fans are split. Some defend Triple H, citing long-term storytelling and patience. Others point out a pattern. Talented stars being mishandled just when they're gaining momentum. Karrion Kross, Shinsuke Nakamura, and even Finn Balor are brought up in debates. Let's be real. Drew McIntyre is a WWE guy through and through. But like Cody Rhodes before him, a top star walking away isn't impossible if they feel undervalued. Triple H's vision might not align with Drew's anymore. If WWE sees him as a utility player instead of a franchise name, then a departure becomes more likely. And with competition heating up in AEW, NJPW, and elsewhere, McIntyre could be tempted by the promise of creative freedom and a central spotlight. Remember, Cody leaving WWE was unthinkable once. But sometimes, leaving is the only way to get your value recognized. If this mistake happened, it would mark Triple H's first major misfire with real locker room consequences. His reputation as a talent-friendly booker would take a hit. More importantly, it would make others question their trajectory in WWE. If Drew McIntyre, former world champion, company loyalist and workhorse, could be discarded like this, who's safe? Triple H would need to do damage control. That could involve trying to bring Drew back with promises of a meaningful return arc, or publicly acknowledging the mistake and pivoting the direction of other stars to show he's learned from it. But wrestling fans have long memories. Some doors, once shut, never fully open again. WWE under Triple H has mostly avoided the high-profile creative disasters that plagued the end of Vince McMahon's tenure. But if there's one lesson from wrestling history, it's this: momentum is fragile. Careers can be altered by one bad booking call. In this hypothetical scenario, Triple H's mistake isn't just about losing a match. It's about squandering a perfectly built character arc, humiliating a top star, and ignoring the emotional investment of fans. If Drew McIntyre were to leave because of it, it would be a sobering reminder that even the best bookers need to balance vision with execution, and never take loyalty for granted.